emotionally challenged. So, I am really excited to get to share today. And today, actually, we're going to take a story. We're going to do like a story time with me. And if you cannot see the screen, you're going to want to be able to see the screen because I brought pictures. It's an illustrated story time with Loveta. Yay! I have sweaty fingers, and so I can't open my program. Let me get this going. And do I need to move it to the other screen? There we go. All right. So today, I titled this message "The Tapestry of God," and I actually was really thinking how, as you were praying, how this message really ties in. I love every time I visit that there's just a spirit of prayer in the church, and I love that. So today, I don't have anything earth-shattering. I don't have anything super, super deep and like brain-taxing, but hopefully I have a word of encouragement. Because as I was kind of thinking and praying about this, God just kind of kept bringing back like that spirit of prayer. And I titled this "The Tapestry of God." So those of you that I haven't shared this with before, I am a teacher. I taught full-time for 2 decades in middle school, and sometimes my teaching would be like, here's a story, and then we'd wind through, and the kids would be like, why'd she tell us this story? And then at the end, I'd bring it together. So today, if you're like getting anxious, like she forgot where she was going, and she's not gonna come back to it, just like I will wrap it up. I promise I didn't lose my train of thought. Probably. So, I hope you enjoy it. Sharing a little bit about the tapestry that God has woven in my own life. And one of those things that one of my earliest memories is my parents praying over me. And I love the tapestry that God weaves through prayer. And so the verses that I'm going to kind of, and just heads up, I'm going to give you guys homework because that's like the teacher in me, because I can't go without giving homework. But the verses we're going to look at today are Paul's prayer for the church in Ephesians. And there's so much in this. There's so much good stuff. And I love the prayer that Paul prays. So if you would like to turn to Ephesians 1, 15 through 23. And I'll be reading it off the board because my Bible won't open on my phone. I have heard about your faith in the Lord Jesus. I have also heard about your love for all God's people. That is why I have not stopped thanking God for you. I always remember you in my prayers. I pray to the God of our Lord Jesus Christ. God is the glorious Father. I keep asking him to give you the wisdom and understanding that come from the Holy Spirit. I want you to know God better. I pray that you may understand more clearly. Then you will know the hope God has chosen you to receive. You will know that what God will give his holy people is rich and glorious. And you will know God's great power. This piece, like, oh my goodness, I think I'm guilty of sometimes forgetting God's great power. Like when I pray, it's almost like okay, God, this and this and this, and I forget that the God of heaven and earth is listening and there with me. It can't be compared with anything else. His power works for us who believe. It is the same mighty strength God showed. He showed this when he raised Christ from the dead. God seated him at his right hand in his heavenly kingdom. There Christ sits far above all who rule and have authority. He also sits far above all powers and kings. He is above every name that is appealed to in this world and in the world to come. God placed all things under Christ's rule. He appointed him to be ruler over everything for the church. The church is Christ's body and is filled by Christ. He fills everything in every way. Now I chose the This is actually, I chose the NIRV because it's a reader's version, and it kind of broke it down into smaller sentences because it's actually very long sentences. It's really deep and it's really fun to dig into, like when you keep digging into it. So I look at this power of prayer, and I look at how our lives are woven in this tapestry as we go through life, and we don't always see the threads that are woven together. So today, I'm going to share the tapestry of my life. And before I even get started, I want to say thank you for you guys being a part of that tapestry that's woven into my life. I love that even though it's not all the time that you guys get to be part of that pattern that's woven. And as we cross paths and as we go back and out and move through life, that we're each having our tapestry of life woven by God, and I love that. So, we get to have story time. So this is story time. I'm going to take you way back to my very beginning. I lived in a very small town. Like a very, very small town. Population, 60-ish. This is my little town I lived in. That's my dad. I lived in a teeny tiny island in Alaska, off the coast of Alaska. It was a logging camp. You can see my dad out there logging. This is me up on the porch. I'm the one in the back. My sister is in the yellow in front of me, and that's the neighbor girl. I think her name is Jody. Obviously part of my tapestry. So I started out in a really, really small town. And then I moved to a much bigger town in Idaho, like a huge town. It was population 300. It was huge. And I have pictures of Main Street for you. This was not taken a long time ago. This was taken like 4 years ago. So there's Main Street, my big city of Idaho City, population 300. Big town, big city. So I moved there when I was a kid, and there's some main characters that you need to know about. Because I always hate it when I lose the characters. Lisa. Lisa was my best friend growing up. Got into all kinds of trouble together, prayed for each other, went to camp together. Just like our lives were very, very woven together. And as you're going to see, they continue to be woven together in wonderful and amazing ways. Jason, as a kid I went to school with, in junior high. I remember my parents had to be gone one time, and I stayed at their house because they had to be out of town, and we were playing keep away. And I got thrown into a barbed wire fence because accidents always happen when mom and dad are gone, right? So Jason was just one of those kids. He had a younger brother named Brandon, who, like, as a kid, I don't really remember him because he was much younger and he was a rugrat. Like, he was, oh man, that kid had energy. Wow, that's all I really remember about him as a kid. During this time, I probably tripped over Brandon's wife, fell into the barbed wire fence, and Chris was a neighbor kid, and we were playing. But like the main characters here, Lisa, best friend, Jason, friend of the family, Brandon, Jason's brother, and then Dwayne. Dwayne's the love of my life. I met him in Seattle. And so I'll give you like a little rundown. The fun thing is that Jason married Lisa. So Lisa, best friend, Jason, Lisa's husband, Brandon, Jason's brother, Dwayne, love of my life, and me. I get to be in this story too. At the time, we were kids in a really small town. Population 300. The most commonly thing said was, what do you want to do when you grow up is get out of Idaho City. I just want to get out of here. It's small, it's tiny, nothing ever happens. What I feel like that statement, our favorite verse was when it says like, what good can come out of Nazareth? That was kind of like how we felt about Idaho City. Like, what good can come out of Idaho City? It was just a little town. So, grew up, we didn't have a high school in our town. I'm going to high school, growing up, really praying like, God, direct our lives. What do you want to have? What do you want to have me do? I went to school in Seattle. So here's our little I went to school in Seattle. Dwayne, who's from Anchorage, Alaska, went to school in Seattle. And we met. He was actually worked for the cafeteria, and he was packing my sack lunch before he ever met me. He didn't think I was a person. So when I met him, he was like, you do it? My last name was Verestein. So he saw my name on that list and went, Loveta Verestein? Yeah, that's not a person. So when I met him, he was like, you do exist. It's like, I do. What do you mean? So he's been cooking for me before I even know him. So long time, he still is my cook. He's the chef in our house. So we met in Seattle, lived there, and we actually ended up moving back to Idaho City, which I was like, God, you are not serious. I am out of Idaho City. I do not want to go back to Idaho City. And God was like, you're going to Idaho City. And I was like, oh, okay. We went back to Idaho City. And this little rugrat named Brandon had grown up. And he was in our youth ministry. Brandon, the little brother of Jason, and he was still full of a lot of energy as a teenage boy. He got saved under our youth ministry, and my husband had the pleasure of baptizing him. Really cool. Bumped into Brandon from time to time. Life goes on. Jason and Lisa become our really good friends. They have kids. We have kids at the same time. It's wonderful. They have best friends, all of these things. And then God says, hey, I'm moving you to New York. And we went, okay, let's see where this goes. So we moved to New York. We get to New York, and we're on Facebook, and Brandon, who has by now married, says, my wife and I are moving to Madagascar. From little, teeny, tiny Idaho City to Madagascar. And Dwayne and I said, hey, we'll bring a group. When you get established, we'll bring a group. Right? We're going to do this. So we are praying for them. They're getting established. We have plans to go. And COVID hit, because that is the great interrupter of our decade. So COVID hit. We were like, okay, so we're not going. And then all the shifting pieces were like, I don't know if this is going to happen. There was a gentleman in our church who was not super, he was nervous for us to take a group. He was really like, I'm not entirely sure this is what you're supposed to do. Take a group to Madagascar? That sounds crazy. And he wonderful man of God. He has since gone to be with Jesus. But there was some pushback on this. And I kept saying, like, no, this is the time. This is when we're supposed to go. We're supposed to go. And he's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know about this. And you know, he was an amazing friend and colleague and man of God, and so really wanted his support on this. Well, he went down to this picture over here. He went down to Virginia Beach to visit his brother-in-law. And while he was in Virginia Beach, there was a guest speaker. The guest speaker's name was Brandon. And Brandon was sharing about his mission in Madagascar and how he was so excited because just north there was some really good friends that he'd met in Idaho that were bringing a team to work with the people of Madagascar. And so this gentleman came back and he's like, you will never guess who I met. I met Brandon. We didn't know this, but God was actually working out for them to move to Virginia Beach. They were only in Madagascar for 5 years to start a church that was run by the Malagasy people. And I was pushing super hard for us to go in 2023. And I was like, no, we need to go. We had 2 graduations going. We had all these things happening. And I was like, no, we need to go. We need to go. My husband was like, are you sure this is the time? I'm like, yes, I'm sure this is the time. We need to go. And so we pushed for it, never knowing that 2023 was actually the last summer that Brandon was in Madagascar. I'm like, it would not have happened. So God knew that timing as we were praying for it. And then he brings Brandon to a church in Virginia Beach from Madagascar on the same Sunday that this gentleman is visiting from New York. I was like, the tapestry that God weaves is incredible and random. I'm like, only you, God. Only you. So, we planned this, and we're going to do this. Funny story. We flew out July 4th. July 3rd. Remember Jason and Lisa? They have kids when we have kids, all this stuff. Brandon is Jason's brother, all of this. July 3rd, Jason's oldest child got married in Idaho. My children are best friends with them. They flew to Idaho to be in the wedding and then met us in Madagascar. They flew from Boise to Seattle to Turkey to Mauritius to Madagascar. We flew, this is our team, our beautiful team. We went from Lansing to Toronto to JFK because, of course, you have to go to Canada, right, to get to JFK. It was $1,000 cheaper. We had 18 people. That's $18,000 cheaper. We drove to Toronto. We go to Toronto. We fly to JFK, to get a little touch of home. And then we flew to Kenya and then Madagascar. Our children, they flew their roundabout way. I was a little nervous. That gentleman that I talked about, he was very nervous. He was tracking their flights the whole way. But it wasn't just my two children that flew from Idaho City. It was also Levi. Levi is Jason and Lisa's second child. Our friend, they were like, we want to go. Those three flew. They met us. We met in the airport within 15 minutes. We landed. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. So we have this, crossed the nation, flew through all of these countries. We landed within 15 minutes, and then ministry started. And we had just such a great trip. It was multi-generational. Our youngest was 9. Our oldest was 62. And we had 18 people. Just a little peek of some of the things that we did. We landed in our mission field. It's our team. We had, our whole theme for this is we had Team Go. We were Team Go because we were going. And we had Team Pray. And all of those people that signed our Team Pray were people who committed to praying for us while we were gone. And so they were praying for us this whole time. And we also had our Team Give. That was the other one. All the people that signed it helped because, Madagascar is a long ways away. So this is the beautiful countryside of Madagascar. Had a great time. Just a few snapshots of the tapestries and threads that God wove while we were there. We got to go to an orphanage in the jungle. This is one of the houses, like the little huts where the kids stay. This is their tilapia pond. So they raise tilapia for money. Beautiful. All the fun stuff. We also had an opportunity to share the gospel with a completely unreached village. They had never, ever heard the name of Jesus. The witch doctor that had been in this village wouldn't allow Christianity in. This witch doctor had moved. And here's the amazing, blows my mind. This village, this unreached village, we walked 25 minutes from the orphanage. There are pockets just all over because there isn't the technology, there isn't Wi-Fi, there isn't all this stuff. We walked, shared the gospel. It was wonderful. We actually invited them to church at the orphanage, so they walked the next day, came to church. This is our traffic jam with the cows. It was beautiful. Here we're dancing, preaching, doing skits. We were doing a parable, all of these things. And I'm sure it's kind of some of the things that we did because I found it fascinating how things that were a stretch for some people weren't for others. How many of you would be like, oh, sign me up for dancing in the jungle. I can do this. I can lead a dance. Some of you are like, yeah, I can do that. Preaching with an interpreter. Some of you are like, yeah, I could do that. Doing a parable, acting it out. Yeah, I can do that. That's fine. Some of our people, their stretch came with the new bathroom experiences. These are our bathrooms. My team thought it was hilarious because I took pictures of every single bathroom. It was amazing. So just so you know, a little bit of education today, this bathroom right here, this is called a 101. That's just what it's called. It's a 101 because you put your foot, and you got a 0 in between. That was the village bathroom. Like that was the village bathroom. It was a community bathroom that everybody used. So that was a stretch for some people. There were some people like, oh, okay. You can see Kristen, she's guarding the door. She was the door as we used the bathroom. That was super fun. Some of you may have been like, I just found my wall. Not doing that. So we're like, sign me up for it. I can do that. It's an adventure, right? Nobody will ever remember me. We'll remember the bathrooms though. That was fun. Some of the other things that we did is we built some houses. We didn't build these houses, but what the orphanage does is when we gave them the money to like provide for us, is they take that money and they reinvest it into their village. And so this house down here at the bottom, and this house, our team was so large, they were able to build 2 new houses that then can become an income generator for the orphanage, because then the people can pay to stay there. So lots of fun stories. We actually ended up buying one of the houses back for the missionary, which is just another story that I won't even get into because I'm not going to keep you until the flood watch is over. So, really great opportunity, had these things. This was really a pretty comfy place to stay. We felt pretty well protected. They had security guards that walked around. I personally didn't feel too stretched. I was like, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, we're tired, we're hot, it's okay. But I will say we totally left our hearts. These were the children, some of the people that we worked with. Beautiful, friendly people. So amazing to work with. We did have some fun. We did some playing. Here, this is my oldest son and my youngest daughter over there with the lemurs. Got to do some playing. We got to go to the Indian Ocean. They thought we were crazy because it's their winter. Our summer, because it's the southern hemisphere. So we're out there in our swimsuits playing around, and they're in like beanies and coats. One kid was like videoing us on his like iPad, the entire like crazy Americans. I'm sure we made it on somebody's TikTok feed. We loved it, thought it was incredible. They thought we were nuts. That's okay, we had fun, it was great. This may have been a stretching point for some of the people in our group because we were in the Indian Ocean and they were pretty sure we were gonna die by sharks. So there was some anxiety there. It was pretty rough. Took some tumbles. Yeah, had some swimsuits full of sand, but hey, it was fun. Some of the unique ways. So then we went back into the city, and Tananarivo is the biggest city in the area. We had more traffic jams. We had 2 cow traffic jams in 2 totally different areas. But these were some of the places that we ministered. This is a school that takes place. So this is the love of my life. That's my husband in the blue and the scruffy. I make him shave, but there we didn't shave. We didn't have water. This is a garbage dump. All that you see behind him is piles and piles of trash. This was a stretching point for some of us. We went in, and these were the children who live in the dump. I think that's where they live. The school is in the dump. It's actually kind of that not everybody can come to the school because there's only limited space. And so we did some outreach in there. We went to door, we talked to people, and we actually did like an outreach with them. We actually provided shoes for all of the kids in the school, that we had partners with us that we were able to give them funds to buy shoes. We were able to give the kids shoes, build some stuff. It was beautiful. We did judo. This is my second child with the ponytail right there. Her name is also Loveta. She did judo in Madagascar. Some of you are like, oh no, Matt, that judo, that's my wall. I'm good. I'm not doing judo in Madagascar or anywhere. Super fun. I think I was getting stuff ready for VBS. I didn't actually get to do judo, although I do have a yellow belt. So, just in case you're wondering, I went from white to yellow. I'm pretty skilled. But I have not done judo in Madagascar. I did do paintball though. That was fun. This, of all those things, the trash, the cows, the skits, the singing, the dancing, this was a real stretch for me. This is door-to-door evangelism. This is where I kind of start to sweat. And it's in a different language. So not even am I not good at it, but it's in a different language, which might make it easier. I don't know. So we did door-to-door evangelism, and then we went inside a home. This is the absolute nicest house we saw. It is an amazing house. We were looking at pictures. My husband was like, wow, that was a really nice house. That's the whole one room, and there's one other room that's the kitchen. And we did some door-to-door. That was hard. But God sent people with us. We were just kind of like the spectacle that people wanted to have in their house because we were really white. As you can see, I'm white, but my husband is white. These were our roads, so kind of stretched our driver's abilities. Yes, those are ruts that are knee deep. So the roads were amazing. We went 80 miles to the jungle, and it took us 10 hours. 80 miles. We're like, ooh, the house we built, we could market it as an Airbnb only 80 miles from the airport. Yeah. And we'll get all kinds of tourists. They're like, what? Not advertised. And then we didn't always have electricity. So this is me with my little headlamp. Funny how many resources we kind of take for advantage, or we take for granted. We were doing a VBS. And we're like, okay, we're going to divide them into groups. How do we divide them into groups? Let's give them a stamp. We don't have stamps. Let's give them this. We don't have this. I was like, oh, we had brought with us some of those little stickers that are the little circles that are red, blue, yellow, orange. Red, yellow, blue, green. And so we're like, all right, we need more groups. And so I sat and colored stickers so we'd have orange and purple because we needed 6 groups. So I'm coloring, and then the power goes out, so I have my headlamp. Lots of fun, lots of stretching. Good, kind of good stretching, right? Okay, I can do this. I don't have to do this on my own strength. God's giving me this strength. This is good, this is good. Sometimes you stretch, and you hit a wall. My wall came on a seemingly really easy day. We went to the rock quarry, the rock field. This is a place, everything in Madagascar is rock. They're literally turning a mountain into rock for your driveway. Eventually, it'll be gone. It's going to take probably a century, but they will. It'll be gone. This huge mountain that they're turning into rock. And they had been telling us about this. Brandon, in his enthusiasm, was like, oh, yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great. We're like, all right, it'll be great. And we had done fundraising because we're like, what do they need? What can we bless them with? What can we do? Because we partnered with ministries that they're already doing. And they're doing the rock quarry. They go every week and talk about Jesus and share the good news and just share the love of God with people. Well, Brandon said, they don't have any safety anything. Could you guys bring glasses? Safety glasses, because they're literally hammer and rock breaking mountains into gravel for roads. And I was like, okay, well, how many pairs do you need? And he goes, well, it'd be great if you had 1,000. I'm like, all right, we'll see what we can do. So we get there, and he goes, I said, well, where would you like the glasses? And he's like, well, how many do you have? And I said, well, you asked for 1,000. He's like, you guys brought 1,000 pairs of safety glasses? I'm like, well, yeah. Whole different, yeah. God provided in ways we could never even, I have 17 sermons on one, but I'll stay on topic because I said I wouldn't lose my train of thought. Mm-hmm. So we have 1,000 pairs of safety glasses that we're going to hand out. We're going to invite kids to VBS. We're going to share. We're going to do all these things. I'm like, okay. So Brandon goes, all right, we're going to have 3 groups go. One group is going to be the group that's having some tummy issues because we were in Madagascar for a while. And so they didn't have to walk anywhere. So they just took the bus out. They started at the very bottom of the rock field. Group 2 was the medium group. They're going to walk into the middle of the field. Okay. And then the extreme group, we're going to hike up over the back of the mountain. And of course I had to be in the extreme group because why not? Right? Let's do this. So we hike up the back of the mountain. We come up over the top. And we've seen people here and there. We've been handing out our glasses. We have 1,000 pairs of glasses to hand out. We come up over the top. And I hit the wall. the noise hit me like a wall. There are people everywhere. And I looked at this and I went, we can't do this. There is absolutely no way. We can't reach all those people. I don't know if you can tell. I don't know how far I'll just point. Over on the side, those are like people everywhere. It was like an anthill. And I looked at this, the wall of noise, because everybody's hammering. And I'm like, we should have taken earplugs, like ear protection. Hammering, noise, things are happening, all this stuff is going on. And I was like, we can't do this. There is no way we can reach all of these people. It's not possible. And I kind of quit. I mean, I was the extreme team, and I was like, oh. Yeah, nice idea. We'll just hit what we can. And I was feeling really overwhelmed. And then, in this picture, you can't quite see it, but don't worry, I'll blow it up.
You can walk over there.
Can I walk over there? I don't know. I think I'm connected. Let me see. Let me do this. There we go. There we go. All right. So over here, right there, right where my shadow is. Can you see that little tiny blue speck? I saw it, and I said, that's our team. Right there. That's Nicholas. Right there. That's our team. Wait, and that's our team. And that's our team. I had forgotten that it wasn't all on me. I was not the one reaching everybody in that rock field. Our team was there. And it still makes me tear up, because as we walked through that entire rock field, there would be people way up on a cliff. And I'd be like, do you have glasses? And they'd be like, yeah, because one of our team had been there. And we got every adult in the rock quarry. Flash flood noise. Every single one. We handed out 1,000 pairs of safety glasses. There were probably 2,000 to 3,000 kids, because they're not working, but they have to go with their parents to work. So all the kids were there hanging out. So 2,000 to 3,000 we invited to the church, to the VBS. They've never had a VBS ever. And we were talking about it, and Brandon and Anna, his wife, said, I don't know, we could have 30 kids show up. We could have 300. We have no idea. Our first day of VBS, we had 200 kids. And it was just the word of mouth. All of these pieces, all of these threads, all of these tapestries woven together, the hours and hours and decades of prayer, covering us, covering each of our lives, weaving us together, brought us there, have brought me here, have brought you here. The way that God works is amazing. And the more I look, and there are threads that are amazing and too complicated to bring into this because I have a short time, that I look at just this one instance of how God wove things together and is weaving things together. In all of this, I have 3 takeaways for you today. The first one, where you are does not determine where you will go. I lived in a town of 60 on an island in Alaska that only could be in and out by plane. My mom almost had me on an airplane. I lived in Idaho City. We felt trapped. There was no way out. And yet I look at the people that God used from Idaho City. Brandon, Levi's parents, Jason and Lisa. I look at Anna. I look at all these things that God orchestrated and brought together. Where you are today does not determine where you will go. Our age, our place in life, where our past, none of that. Because we are still sitting here, which means God still has plans for us. Where you are does not determine where you will go. This is Brandon and my husband. It makes me tear up to think that rugrat little kid who was there when I got thrown into a barbed wire fence and needed stitches on my leg, who got saved under our ministry, who my husband baptized, whom I didn't even know at the time I was getting thrown through a fence, is in Madagascar with Brandon sharing about Jesus. This is my family and Brandon's family. Brandon is married to Anna. Anna's Filipina. Their son Didier is from the Congo. He's adopted. That's another entire story of him sneaking out of the Congo because he was pretty much imprisoned once he got there. Super fun. Another day, another story. And then my kids, my son, my girls. All of that woven together. And this is the picture that I love. There's Brandon at his church in Madagascar introducing my husband to come speak. It's amazing how God takes us on journeys we can't even imagine that. Who would have ever thought? Second takeaway. What you have isn't all you've got. Hopefully, God's stretching you. Hopefully, you're not just doing what you can in and of yourself. Because if we're just relying on what we have, we're missing out. My little evangelism, door to door, this was scary for me. This may not be your stretch. You may be like, that's easy. This is not easy for me. It intimidates me, and not much intimidates me. These were very nice men. They told me how to build a wall. I can now build a wall, and it involves cows walking through the dirt, just so you know. If you need to build this wall, you need cows. What you have isn't all you've got. Going back to Paul's prayer, the God who raised Jesus from the dead, that's the kind of power we have access to. That's like exciting. Makes me want to go do door-to-door evangelism. Kind of. All right. Third takeaway. We are not a body of one. And I'll get teary. Because I look back at that rock quarry, that rock field. There's Brandon. Oops. There. That's my daughter. These people, 1,000 adults. We could not do it on our own. We aren't a body of one. We are a body, we are a tapestry that is around the world. The church of God is huge. And sometimes it feels so discouraging. We feel like, what am I doing? What am I even doing for God? Where am I? How's he even using me? And I look at our day-to-day lives and the tapestry that he is weaving with the threads we give him. Now, God is not done weaving his tapestry. Okay, this is Tina, the white one. There we go. I'm going to use the shadow. This is Natalie. We are in Laporte. It is the church in Madagascar. This is not Madagascar. Me on the four-wheeler. That's not Madagascar. That's Idaho City. There was a kid named Chris who was there when I got thrown through a barbed wire fence. Chris happened to go to Madagascar, and he met Natalie and her husband Nampoina. And he said, hey, if you're ever in the United States, come visit me. And they did. And I just so happened to be there at the same time. And Natalie and Nampoina run the children's ministry at the church that Brandon and Anna founded in Madagascar. And I said, hey, Nampoina, I have this idea. And I actually, strangely enough, I got this idea the last time I came to speak here, because my driving time is the time when I pray in the car. And as I was driving here, God said, why should Madagascar have to wait? They're waiting for people, for teams to come in. They're waiting for people to come in and do VBS. They're waiting. Why should they have to wait? I was like, but that sounds really like presumptuous to be like, hey, how about you guys have us come and train your people? That sounds really like arrogant. So Nampoina and Natalie and I ended up in a town of 300 together, knew each other from when we went last time. And I said, I got this idea. What if Tina's a children's pastor, what if Tina and I came and trained your youth and children's workers on how to do a VBS? And it was like the world froze. And Nampoina looks at me and says, yes, that's exactly what we need. And so we did a Zoom call when they got back to Madagascar. And I said, okay, Anji, we would say Andrew. Anji, he's the main pastor at LaPorte. And I said, okay, I have this idea. And I shared this idea. And Anji says, yes, that's exactly what we need. And once we have training, we can train the other churches in Madagascar. And my brain kind of exploded because I had been thinking as a body of one. And God was like, oh no, you are not a body of one. We leave July 6th to go back. When I shared that I couldn't come in July with Andrew because I was going to be in Madagascar, he was like, oh, tell me about what you're doing. And just so you guys know, Green is a part of the Tapestry that's enabling Tina and I to go back to Madagascar and train. Thank you for being a part of that tapestry. You are reaching around the world. You can be praying for us because I've taught for decades. Tina's a children's pastor. I have no problem speaking. But I'm a little nervous because the Malagasy culture is very different than ours. It's very chill. So we're not entirely sure what's going to be there when we get there, but hey, we're going. So we have training, we have things planned. We're really excited. And they have 15 to 20 workers that are going to go through the training. And they're excited. So if you would be praying for Tina and I, we leave July 6th. We will go, we will train, we will develop curriculum. Our whole goal is to develop 3 VBSs and choose one to fully develop. And then we'll do the VBS with them. And then when we leave, they'll have 2 more curriculums ready to go so that they can do it. So by the time they get done with the 3rd one, they will feel good enough to go through the process of developing their own. So we'll have 3 very, very full, train, develop, do. Come on. I am reminded that where I am now is not where I will go. It's not all I will ever do. I'm reminded that what I have is not all I've got. And I'm reminded I am definitely not just a body of one. Paul's prayer for us is that we would recognize what we have in our prayers. So I said I was going to give you homework. I asked for your prayers, but I would also ask that you read through Ephesians 1:15 through 23 a couple times this week. Read it in a couple different versions. If you have a favorite version, everybody always says, well, what's the best version? I'm like, the one you're reading. If you're reading it, that's a win, right? Like, please, just read it. Paul's prayer for the church should be our prayer. Because there is power in prayer. God is not done weaving his tapestry. And I am so excited that we get to be in each other's tapestries. So I hope that this was encouraging. I hope that you are reminded. I don't think I shared anything you didn't know. But I hope you're reminded that God in our daily lives has plans for you and for me that we don't know the ending of. And I'm excited when we get to heaven to see how all those threads intertwine and create a gorgeous tapestry of our lives and what he's given us to share. Pray with me. Lord, thank you so much. Thank you for the people of Green. Thank you for the people here today that we get to interact and weave together a beautiful tapestry. I thank you already for the part that they have been in my life and the encouragement that they are as I go forward. I pray that you would encourage them this week as they are given opportunity to be a part of the body, as they are weaving the beautiful tapestry of God's people, the church here on earth. Lord, thank you for loving us. Thank you for seeing us. I pray that you would go before us. And Lord, please keep everybody safe and that the waters would calm and there would be no danger.